Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to talk about Christian end times bullshit and why I think a lot of them don't even really believe this or want it to happen based on the shit that they say. But I'm also going to have linked in the description bar below a website called Signs of the End Times, and I'm not going to go through all of what's written on this shit, just the highlights of the end time prophecies that they talk about. At the top of their list is historical evidence, and they mention Daniel 2, which is a joke because that is not talking about a Jesus. I will be doing more interviews with Mark Powers in the future, and we will get into the book of Daniel, and he can explain probably a hell of a lot better than I can from the Jewish point of view why Daniel does not apply to Jesus. However, in a sense, I'll have that out as a teaser for what's coming. There is next an increase in knowledge. This is really comical because it's not as if there is a massive increase in knowledge in 2015. Knowledge has been increasing gradually ever since the Christian Dark Ages and so forth, since Christians stopped hindering the growth of knowledge through their book burnings and witch burnings and torturing anyone that doesn't think just like them. Knowledge has been increasing, and with science becoming more and computers becoming more a part of our daily lives, knowledge will increase because our use of technology is increasing. The thing is, it doesn't mean shit, but then they do ability to enforce the mark, which I find comical as all hell, because they want to talk about, they mention a few highlights. Sweden, close to being a cashless society. Cash is dead. Are credit cards next? Nigeria deploying biometric technology through the banking system, and so on. And they link this to this mark of the beast. The thing is, if there would have been some prophecy that somebody back in the 1st century or 2nd and so forth that would have wrote this bullshit would have had in mind, they wouldn't have had computer chips in mind. They wouldn't have had anything. They wouldn't have had this, even a lighter, in mind. Because they wouldn't have been able to put into terms anything of our world. How would they describe a computer, a cell phone for another one? What, a talking box in your hand? There's no mention of that. There's absolutely no way for us to know how somebody back over 2,000 years ago would have defined or described anything from our technological age. It is absolutely obnoxious to try and act like some mark of the beast is talking about anything from our society, because society has changed so much just in the last 50 to 60 years. To try and act like somebody foresaw all this thousands of years ago is horseshit. But then there is the man of sin revealed, and they have a picture of the Pope. Now, I'm not a fan of the Pope or the Catholic Church by any stretch. However, let's not be stupid. And I know when I'm talking about Christian shit, stupidity kind of, it's just par for the course. The thing is, I don't know if you guys remember, they were talking about the man of sin and the Antichrist back with Bill Clinton. Hell, they were talking about it back with Ronald Reagan. You know, Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666, because each of the 3 names had 6 letters. They were trying to say Ronald Reagan was the Antichrist. Then when Ronald Reagan was no longer president, then it's... the next I know was Bill Clinton. They were trying to act like him. And then George W. Bush. And now some have... not so much with Barack Obama. There were other things that were going on with Obama, more over the race issue when he became president. And the birther issue that Trump had gone into, which I find comical. But this idea of the man of sin, the Antichrist type of thing. And what I find is interesting is they actually quote 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, where it says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Now, for all you rapture people that want to be, any minute we can be taken, how do you jive any minute you can be gone with where it clearly says, "For that day shall not come, except..." You have a condition here. You have something here that is saying this period, this thing that you're looking for, can't happen except this happen before it. And if you want to try everything you can to prevent that thing before it from happening, how then can you say that you want this other thing to happen? Because that other thing is only supposed to happen after this one. It doesn't work. What it indicates is you Christians don't even want your Jesus to return. But then violence and sexual immorality. Oh, brother. As if that's something new. It's not. But they list all kinds of stupid bullshit. And then they have the rise in spiritualism. Oh, yeah. Anything that is not Christian is demonic or whatnot. Oh, but they're going to enhance on this one too. But then they have mass animal deaths. There are different reasons in the world and through natural disasters as to why animals die en masse. I may go into some of those in a future video. I'd have to do some research into what exactly has caused, that we know about, that has caused massive animal deaths. The thing is, it doesn't mean a God is coming back or a Jesus is coming back, because what the fuck's he have against the animals? What the fuck did they do? But then there are natural disasters. Yeah, Christians are always talking about natural disasters and hand-wringing over that because, frankly, they can't control that. They can't say, we got to oppose it. Yeah, how the fuck are you going to oppose an earthquake? I want to see you go out there and oppose Mother Nature. Go ahead, Christians. Lay on the ground and try to hold it together. See how well that works for you. Then there are earthquakes. Oh, I guess the natural disasters are things like hurricanes and so forth. So, Christians, why don't you go out there and try to stop the wind? You know, you can vote opposing the wind, like you vote opposing homosexuality being the homosexual marriage being legalized. You know, you want to say under God, all men are endowed by a God with certain unalienable rights. If they're endowed by a God, then it's not open to a vote from you. But yet you people want to vote opposing what you claim the Constitution mentions your God, and that they were endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights. But then you want to try and vote opposing those unalienable rights. How exactly does that fucking work? But go ahead, try to vote opposing hurricanes, the wind. Go ahead. Let's see you try. Because your Jesus did say in John chapter 14, verse 12, that those that believe on him, all of the works, or the works that he did, they shall do also, and greater things. Because he goes to the Father type of shit. So Christians, why aren't you going out there and raising the dead? Stopping the winds. Healing the blind, healing the deaf, healing the paralyzed. And while you're at it, heal some of those amputees. Why aren't you doing that shit? Your Jesus said, not that you just would or that you would pray about it. He said you shall do it. So do it. Prove it. But then there's earthquakes. Like I said before. Go ahead, Christians, lay on the ground. Try to get the earth to keep that earthquake from happening. Like you want to try and keep the New World Order from happening. And we're hand-wringing about this Antichrist. There was no Christ, so there can't be an Antichrist. And the reason there was no Christ is there's still wars, you dummies. All of the criteria for Messiah had to be fulfilled in order before there would be a Messiah. If there's criteria that aren't fulfilled, you don't have a Messiah because the criteria aren't fulfilled. It's like a job description. Oh, you don't have the job description requirements? You don't get the job. No one has met the job requirements for Messiah. Sorry, job hasn't been filled. So you can't have an anti because you don't have the actual thing. And that's obvious by looking at the fucking world. But unsealed prophecy. Oh, please. And then there are false Christs and prophets. Again, the many will come in my name saying, I am Christ. Well, for Jesus to say, and I don't think he ever did say that he was Christ, or that he was Messiah, it was said by others, like Peter, which would have me kind of scratching my head as to what would cause Peter to say that he was this Messiah, given the fact that the second temple was still standing. He couldn't build the third one. The whole world wasn't Jewish. There were still wars. Clearly the criteria for Messiah were not met. But yet the idea that is in the Bible of Jesus was proclaimed the Messiah. You can proclaim someone anything. It doesn't make it true. And then these next two get kind of funny. World pushing for peace. Yeah, Christians don't like that. Don't want the world to be a place of peace because then they can't hand wring. Or can they? Then there's another sign is war. Talk about playing both sides of the fence. World pushing for peace is one, and war is another. So whether there's wars or worlds going towards peace, either way Christians will try to say, oh, it's a prophecy. It's about us. They're trying to play it both ways. And then another one is famine, as if starving people are something new. As if this shit hasn't been going on for thousands of years. It's disgusting. And then they have Christians being killed. Though, hate to point this out, they're not the only ones that have been killed. Can I toss in a little bit of a reminder for Christians, like the name Matthew Shepard? Does that ring any fucking bells? How about some abortion doctors? Yeah, you Christians are all in favor of pro-life, but if that life happens to grow up to be a doctor, you just might have to kill it. It's disgusting. You people want to act like you're pro-life. No, you're anti-woman, as George Carlin put it. Then there is one that I just kind of chuckle at, increase in sin. I've said it before. I'll say it again and again and again. I don't sin. I can't. Why? I'm not Jewish. The 10 Commandments do not apply to me. They just don't. They don't apply to me. Sharia law doesn't apply to me. The Four Noble Truths don't apply to me. Because I'm not a Jew, I'm not a Muslim, and I'm not Buddhist. The 10 Commandments are 10 out of the 613 laws and statutes given by the Jewish God to his people, the Jewish people. They never belong to Christians. Let's be clear on that. And as far as Christians being killed, I think Mark Powers, the former director of Jews for Judaism that I interview, would quickly point out that Jews have been persecuted a hell of a lot more than Christians. Even in our world today, there is a big anti-Jewish push. Look at fucking Mel Gibson. That piece of shit. But then there is another, Christians turning away from truth. Truth. No, it could be Christians waking up to the fact they've been lied to. Perhaps having their moral conscience woken to the fact that Christianity is immoral on its very face. That the very premise of Christianity is the most immoral proposition that you could have. It's not the truth. Christianity, there's no truth in it. Then another one is God destroy those who destroy the earth. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. The idea that above there was natural disasters, and remember that, and the earthquakes. Apparently that's not enough. God destroy those who destroy the earth. Yeah, I guess polluting of the environment, the Christians are opposed to that all of a sudden. These same Christians that want to act like global warming isn't real, that the things that we have done that have fucked up this planet, they want to say when it comes to like global warming or climate change, that that's not proven. But yet, here they want to act like God destroys those who destroy the earth. What the fuck do you people care? If your God's going to recreate it and make it all beautiful again, the fuck do you care? That's probably why you don't give a fuck about global warming. Because what the fuck do you care? Your God's going to magically fix it. He's going to maybe wiggle his nose, shake his ass, maybe cue it back. Just boom. Is that what you think's going to happen? Do you really think that's going to happen? You must. But then there is, and this is kind of really comical, gospel preached to the world. This idea of the gospel being preached to the world, it was one of the criteria for Messiah. Let me say that again a little bit slower and closer and louder, Christians. It was one of the criteria for Messiah, that the whole world would be Jewish, not Christian. Your Jesus was a Jew, not a Christian. The chosen people in the Bible, over and over and over and over and over again, are called the Jewish people, the children of Israel, not Christians. Christianity was invented by Paul, the one most of you Christians bow to. Your God is Paul, not Jesus. And that is the bottom of their list. The thing is, these people don't want any of this shit to happen. They don't believe it because they will oppose the New World Order left and right. You would think if they really believe that a one world government is necessary in order for their Jesus to return and all this shit, you would think they would be really in favor of it. And all of the things that I mentioned here, you would think they would be doing, Yahoo! Jesus is coming! They're not. They're going, what are we going to do? Because they don't want this shit to end. No more than any of us do. Their doomsday bullshit, they want to have it so that they can sell books, so that they can promote websites, so that they can promote their church, so that they can get money. They don't really want this to end, because then their reign of terror would end. This is just downright disgusting. For Christians to try and act like they are concerned about a goddamn thing other than their own sorry, self-centered ass is a joke. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And if anybody wants to actually read through the bullshit on this website and have a discussion about it, feel free to do so in the comment section. But later, people.